Hey y'all, so as some of you guys already know, Bangkok, Thailand recently got hit with an earthquake from a 7.7 magnitude earthquake that hit Myanmar, which is a neighboring country of Thailand. Now, in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you my experience during this earthquake, my family's experience, and my thoughts on whether or not I'll be staying in Bangkok, Thailand, because I know a lot of you guys are wondering that. And I also want to say thank you to all of you who have reached out to check in to see, how things are going and if we are okay. Now, this is not the type of video that I thought that I would be doing, honestly, and I had plans on posting other videos this week, but obviously things kind of changed a little bit, and so I'm making this video. I'm grateful to God that I'm actually here and alive today to be making this video, right? So I'm going to share with you my experience. First things first, you guys, we literally got back from Malaysia 2 days ago. If you've been following me, you know that I was just in Malaysia with my family and I haven't even shared the contents from that trip as yet. But we got back 2 days prior to the earthquake. So at the time of this recording, I'm recording this video Sunday, March 30th. And this earthquake happened Friday, prior to that, Friday, March 28th, right? And my family and I got back from Malaysia 2 days prior to the earthquake. But here's the thing, here's the kicker, you guys. We had our Airbnb booked through Friday, right? March 28th, when the earthquake happened. So our plan was to fly from Penang, Malaysia back into Bangkok that Friday of the earthquake. But the week prior, I was like, something in me was just like, well, both my husband and I, we were just like, oh, we should just make it shorter. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, we should just make it shorter, instead of extending our trip. And so we had to send a request to the Airbnb host, let them know, hey, we want to shorten our trip, which we did. Now, when I look back at it, before I get into the whole story and my experience, right? When I look back at it, I was trying to figure out if this was a God thing, why wouldn't we have come back? Or not if it was a God thing, but I was thinking, would it have been safer to fly in Friday of the earthquake? Like maybe the earthquake would have already happened and then we would have got to Bangkok. Or did it actually make sense? Did it actually work in our favor that we flew in 2 days prior? And at first, it didn't really make sense to me. But then when I really think back at it, I was like, this was a God thing. Because here is why. Okay, so the earthquake happened around 12-ish, 1 p.m. that afternoon. And to think about it, we would have been flying back that afternoon. We typically don't do super early flights, especially with our baby. It takes time to get out the door and all of that. And so more than likely our flight would have been around like 10, 11-ish a.m. And it was just an hour, 30-minute flight. And flying into Bangkok, the time is 1 hour behind. So we would have gotten here literally like in the middle of the earthquake, right? If our flight was around 10, 11-ish, which was the time flight that we were planning on booking in to come back this afternoon. We can get settled in early versus a super late night flight or, an early morning flight. So to think about it, we would have either landed at the airport or trying to get back home, and it would have been chaotic because due to the earthquake, a lot of cars and people were just outside and people parked their cars outside of the condo. So it was a lot of traffic. There was no like transportation. There was like backed up transportation, backed up traffic, in the center. And we would have been driving through all of that. So thinking back at it, I'm like, you know what? It was a good thing that we actually left 2 days earlier. And instincts is a hell of a thing. And sometimes you just got to really follow your instincts and, follow the Holy Spirit. Okay. And I'm so happy that we did, because traveling with a baby, with a toddler, is already not the easiest thing, right? Not to mention in a chaotic situation as an earthquake, right? Where I don't know, we may have had to run out of the airport, waited outside. It's hot in Bangkok, can't get any vehicles to come home, or traffic. We weren't prepared for that, right? And so I'm happy that we listened to our instincts and we just got home 2 days earlier. Now, I was at a cafe when this happened. I was at a cafe. It was a one-story cafe. and baby boy was at home. He was actually sleeping. Our nanny was here as well with him, and my husband was sleeping upstairs. He had worked the night before. He had to see clients throughout the night. And so he was resting. Baby boy was sleeping. I was at this cafe, y'all. I was getting some work done. Okay. And I think around 12-ish, because I think this earthquake really happened for an extended time. I wasn't really keeping track exactly of the time, but around 12-ish or something like that, I felt or 12:30 maybe, somewhere along that time, I felt my chair like doing this, or I felt myself doing this. And I was like, am I dizzy? Am I about to pass out? Like, why is my chair move? Like, it felt really weird. And then it kind of stopped. I didn't feel it again. I was like, okay, maybe that was just me. I don't know what's happening, or I don't know what just happened. But I kind of brushed it off. And then I continued working. So I continued doing what I was doing. And then, y'all, I felt myself doing this again. I felt my chair really moving this time. And I looked back at the wall. There was like a chart thingy on the wall, and it was doing this. And I was like, wait, hold a minute. Like, what's happening? Like, this does not seem right. So I started looking around at a couple of people that were at the cafe, and the girl was looking at me. And then she was looking at the ceiling and she was pointing. There were like these lights thing and they were moving. I was like, OMG. I just grabbed my phone. I didn't even grab anything else, y'all. I had my book bag. I had my purse. I had my laptop was still open because I was working. And I just grabbed my phone and I didn't even book it. I should have been saying that I booked it, y'all, but I'll be honest. I was so shocked. I literally was like, I was like walking out. I was looking around like, why are people still sitting down? There were people still sitting down. I don't know if they didn't really feel it or what. Even the workers were still inside, but a few people, we all got out, maybe about seven of us or something. And people were still like in the cafe, like nothing is happening. And so I was kind of confused, but I was like, I'm out of this building, right? And so we all went outside, and then I was talking to some other people. There was this one expat, an older gentleman. He was saying that he's been in Bangkok for like 15 years and he's never experienced this. And he had to call his girls, I guess, were at school, and he had to call them to make sure that they're okay. They evacuated the school. I was talking to these other guys, these two guys from Russia, young guys, maybe 20s, 30s. And the guy was so terrified. He was like, oh my gosh, I've never experienced this. Like, what do you do? I've never experienced an earthquake. And we were just there talking about the whole thing. And it was the craziest thing, y'all. Where this cafe was located, it was kind of local, right? Close to me. The area that I live in Bangkok is not as busy a lot of the popular areas in Bangkok, like Bangalore, 𝗥𝗘𝐻, and places like those. It's not as busy, right? And where we were at, it did not really seem that chaotic. It seemed very calm, which was strange. It's like we were literally in an earthquake, but there was still like, it was still very calm. And where that cafe was, it was not a lot of like high-rise buildings around us, because it was in a local area where there were condos there, but not super high condos. And it was also located close to like the villages, right? With like 1 and 2 story homes. So we did not experience a lot of chaos, to be honest, where people were like running and in the streets and stuff like that, where this cafe was located. And so I immediately called on video chat my husband and my nanny, the group that we have, or nanny group that we have. So I immediately called, and my husband was saying yes, he felt it. They grabbed the baby, or he grabbed the baby, and my baby was sleeping actually. He was like deep sleep. He grabbed the baby and went outside of the house. And then, eventually when everything kind of toned down, they went back in the house. But then it happened again. It started happening again. And the lights, where my nanny was showing me that the lights was doing this. And I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, why is this happening? But based on stories that I've been seeing on like TikTok and like YouTube, people are showing, their experience like in the middle of the earthquake. I think super tall, like buildings, like high rises, tall condos, high rises, skyscrapers, stuff like that. I think they probably experienced it the most. But I've seen some videos where you could literally hear the concrete of the condos like crackling as if the building was literally about to fall. Here or home, so I don't live in a high-rise condo. I live in a somewhat of a traditional uh, Thai style home. It is a three-story though, so it's still not like one level, but it's still easier to like get out of. And it seems pretty solid, right? Like these were built, a while back, brick by brick, very solid. Fortunately, I don't see any cracks, or we haven't experienced any like cracks or anything like that. And my husband said he didn't hear anything. He didn't hear any cracks. My nanny didn't hear anything like that. They just felt it, right? They just felt it. And I'll be honest, y'all, I've been super cautious. I've always been super cautious, and maybe you can call it paranoia, paranoid. Okay. I don't know if it's a military thing. I don't know if it's a flight attendant thing, but I feel like for a while I've been this way where if I'm at a restaurant or if I'm at the movie theaters, especially living in the United States, right? Anything, you never know what can pop off. Somebody may just not be having a good day. And so if I'm in any of these places, I'm thinking about the closest exits. Where's the closest exit if anything were to happen, or what room can I run into if somebody were to come in here? I'm always thinking of that. It may be strange, but I'm always just conscious or aware of my surroundings, right? And so when we were planning on move to Bangkok, we thought about living in a condo, a high-rise condo, or just a condo in general because of the convenience of a pool, and you have the gym and possibly a convenience store downstairs. You can just walk downstairs and there's a convenience store or a 7-Eleven, stuff like that. And, also very affordable when you're getting all those amenities, right? And we thought of that. But honestly, with my paranoia, I started thinking about what if there is a fire? What if there is an earthquake? How fast am I going to be able to go down these stairs? Because then you can't take the elevator if there's a fire, right? You can't take the elevator if there's an earthquake. You have to go down the stairs. And then immediately I'm thinking, okay, trying to go down the stairs with my baby, with my entire family, with all these people also trying to get down the stairs, all this panic happening. So I started thinking about all those things. I'll be honest. I think I've shared a video about this before on my channel. So after the fact, after thinking long and hard about it, I was like, you know what? Let's just move into a house. Plus, with our growing family as well, we wanted like the extra space. I wanted a front yard, baby boy can swing and all those things. So we ended up not going with a condo. I'm grateful though that in regards to damages, like none of the condos were, collapsed. I'm grateful to God for that because there are a lot of people that, I know that live in Bangkok as well. There are a lot of expats here. And just in general, right? It would have been even more devastating. I mean, yes, there was that government building that collapsed. It was still under construction. They're still looking into it, research. They're sending engineers out to research like why, because apparently it was almost done in a sense and they're trying to figure out why it collapsed. But then again, was that one building that was still under construction. There were a lot of condo buildings that had like severe cracks in the walls. So a lot of people are forfeiting their leases and are leaving earlier because they're like, okay, this is not safe. Because if you think about it, if something like that were to happen again, I mean, is it really safe if the building is already like cracked? Like, who knows where those, like, some of the stuff you can't necessarily see, like some of the structural damages, you may not be able to see it, right? And so some people are leaving. I've seen a TikTok video, this guy, I guess his family's here and they're planning on going back to Texas, right? He was saying he loves Thailand, but he's going back. Now, do I plan to go back to the US because of this instance, right? I would say this. I do not plan to go back to the US because of this instance. It's very unfortunate that we experienced an earthquake. Who would have thought? Bangkok is not even on or Thailand in general is not even on the fault line. Right? This is not something that occurs. Apparently, this has never happened in like maybe 50 years, 100 years, or something like that. And then there are some news sources that say that Thailand has experienced these many earthquakes in a year, an average of 16. But I don't think that's accurate. Or if that has happened, it's probably like 0.0 something. You know what I mean? Like something that you don't feel. Because everybody that I've spoken to, I mean, my nanny, I mean, the locals, like said they have never really experienced this. So it's not something that Thailand experiences, right? It's just not a thing. Now, Bali, Indonesia, on the other hand, last year when we were there, I actually experienced an earthquake, and that was kind of scary. But Bali's kind of like known for that because of like volcanoes and all those things. It's not uncommon for that to happen. But like Bali, Indonesia, I should say. But as far as Thailand, it's not common, so it's really strange that it happened. And it just kind of goes to show you as well that you sometimes you just really never know what's gonna happen where you are. You just gotta like stay prayed up and be conscious and I guess always ready, right? You never really know. And the world has been an interesting place if you notice, like these fires and different earthquakes. There have been like earthquakes in like Greece and just all these things have been happening. So you never know. But to go back to what I was saying, do I see myself going back to America because of this? No, I will not be going back to America because of this. This was a pretty scary and serious event. I will say that. Before I go back to America, I will go to another country to live. That's how I see it, right? For me personally, right? Hopefully something like this never happens again. Now, if something like this, as serious as this, happens again in Bangkok, we may leave Bangkok, I'll be honest, and maybe go further south. Now, I was talking to another guy as well the day of the earthquake, just like an hour after it happened, or a few hours after it happened. He was outside waiting on transportation too. I was waiting on a grab. I could not get a grab. He was using the Bolt app and he was able to get one, right? And he was from Morocco. It's like the northern part of Africa. Born and raised in Morocco. He was living in Dubai at the time. He literally flew into Bangkok that day, the morning of the earthquake. And he came over to me and he was like, "Do you speak English?" And I was like, "Yes." And he was like, aren't you in panic or anything?" And we started talking and he was telling me that he planned on moving to Thailand, right? Specifically Phuket, because it's further north, it's further south, and like things like this doesn't really happen. So another thing is Chiang Mai and like Bangkok, like those like cities and close by felt it, but Pattaya didn't feel it, and like Phuket didn't feel it, and the other islands that's associated with Thailand apparently didn't feel it. So it was really just Bangkok and Chiang Mai. And so he was saying he planned on moving further south. So that's a thing. And like Hua Hin, I don't think Hua Hin felt it either. So that's a thing I'm thinking like I may leave Bangkok also because of like the air quality and stuff like that, but not necessarily Thailand in general. Or if something happens very significantly and it affects all of Thailand, then maybe I'll leave Thailand and go to another country. But as far as going back to America, I mean, I don't really see it right now. I mean, I could go back to America and experience a severe event, right? Like Texas, I mean, there's like tornadoes and stuff like that you have to be mindful of as well. So you just never really know. You just never really know. And so I'm just here to say that I am grateful that I am alive and well. I'm grateful to God. I felt like God like gave me a nudge, right? It was like, just go back home early. Go back home early. And I'm happy that I listened because it probably would have been a way more chaotic situation. So yeah, y'all, that was my experience with this earthquake. I pray that I never have to experience one again. It's crazy because at this point I've experienced two in like the past 8 months, right? One in Bali, Indonesia, and now one in Bangkok, Thailand. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that people who have been like planning on moving to Bangkok, Thailand right now, I understand. I understand that, you may be scared and all of those things and worried. I probably would be too, if I'm being honest. So, like I said, I just pray that all will be well and that is it, and that nothing else crazy happens. I pray that this is one of those one in a blue moon, one in a never again, situation while we're living here in Bangkok. Again, for those of you guys who have, checked in on us to see how we're doing, I appreciate you so much. Even some of my clients like reached out to me to see like how, we're doing here. So it just reminds me as well that. Like you can literally be here today and then the next second, something can happen, like in a split of a second. And so I made a post the day of the earthquake saying how, like that's one of the reasons why I've been learning to not take things too seriously. I've been learning to live in the present, just living life, how, pursuing those passions and stuff like that. And just being fully present, because you just really never know. And also living each day as if it were my last, because you never know, right? So this journey of moving abroad, it continues. It's not going to end here, because of that, unless, of course, God forbid, it's my time, right? And so I pray that my time is nowhere near, up. I pray that, I have decades and decades to go. Yeah, my journey of living abroad still continues. So anyway, you guys, until next time, be blessed.